Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to the B Team on Jackrabbit Illustrated Facebook and Twitter, as well as the FFN YouTube. Thanks for hanging in there for us again. We are brought to you, of course, by Jackrabbit Illustrated's title sponsor, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota. They have 10 locations across the great state of South Dakota with parts, sales, and service. Get yourself into their mowers. They've got tractors. They've got skid steers. They've got anything you could need for your house or acreage. Get into a Kubota and get some orange on your property to take care of anything you might need to take care of. And of course, we have to thank our show sponsor, Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. Get into Culver's, where bread, brand, and beef makes a butter burger better. I know that's not their slogan anymore, but I don't care. It's their best one they've ever had. It's something about delicious.
Welcome to
and
delicious.
Guess what?
Welcome
to delicious. Speaking of welcome to delicious, you know what starts today? The Curter Burger's back.
Oh, that's right. That is
the Curter Burger is back only for 2 weeks. So get yourself a delicious Curter Burger. That is my personal mission. Now I have to get Ariel a Curter Burger. I did not get her one last time when they're out, when I tried one myself, and I have been in hot water ever since. So I am going to be getting Ariel a Curter Burger from Brookings and bringing it home for her to have for lunch one of these days. So that will be my job in the near future here. Naturally, we were late again.
Were we?
Yes. Yes, we were definitely late.
We started the podcast at 8:30.
No, we did not.
And I wasn't able, for those people that realized it started a little odd, StreamYard changed as of today. And so some things are different, and I didn't have it quite ready. And so that's on me. I apologize.
I will work on overnighting you a Curter Burger, Rev. We'll work on that for you. Jim popping right on with the BT Mafia Rise Up. It is that time. Quick shout out Alex's Lemonade Stand. If you haven't donated, or you can't donate, the Lemon Top Challenge is always available. And if you put Go Jacks on the Lemon Top Challenge, you can make sure that that money gets put towards Mark. It's like $10 per tweet or social media that you put out. So something to get going. I know because BT Mafia was so badass with that last year, they are really hoping for us to lead the charge. They're hoping to raise $250,000 to fight childhood cancer, or you can be for childhood cancer. I mean, I'm not here. This is America, land of the free. You can be for that if you like. I mean, I'll judge you, but that is what it is. So I was just going to bring that up really quick. I believe currently numbers aren't high, so they need us to kickstart it. Let's be honest. The BT Mafia led the charge last year and is whatever got everything going, and we're going to have to do it again. If anything, we can at least set the bar high so that when the last minute totals come in, they've got a high number to shoot for, which, you know, raises the tide for all ships. And let's be honest, it's not a bad thing. That raises more money to fight cancer instead of less. So that's always a good thing.
I don't know if you caught what my idea was on the A team, but I think we need to figure out a way to get every one of the students to do the Lemon Top Challenge.
So I was thinking about that.
See if we can't put Northwestern Mutual's, test the amount that they're willing to give. I don't think we will, honestly. I don't think we will.
If we talked to, I know some people in the athletic department listen for whatever reason. I don't know why they listen to us, but right now Mark is at $203, and Aiden Bauman's up at $560, and leading is $918 for Jeff Booker. But my idea, if you wanted to do that, you talk to the athletic department or whatever, and you just set up a small table with lemons by the massive students line going into the game, and then with a sign about it, and just have them take a picture of the lemon as they walk by. I mean,
except for they're trying to get into the stadium. I think it'd be better to do once they're in the stadium.
Yeah, but I've seen that line. It doesn't move real fast.
Well, that's true. You'd have to,
time.
As long as you're walking down the line,
set it up
not a booth.
You'd set it up like at the curb of the corner, so there's time. It's not like you'd slow down the line any. There's 4,000. We're averaging over 4,000. students per game, which student turnout, shout out to the students. And they've been turning out, and they haven't just been turning out, they've been staying. Like, they've been staying past half. Yeah, of course it's a little bit less. It's students. That's what happens. But the students have been showing out. They're all done up. I mean, I've seen just gobs of bibs and outfits and everything else. And it is so huge for the atmosphere and how awesome the Dane has been having the students. They've been phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool how they built the Dana with the pride in the middle and the students around them.
Yes,
and it just creates such a cool atmosphere in that end zone. But yeah, definitely shout out to the students. It's been great this year, and looking forward to seeing them back out, not this weekend, but the following weekend, which will be Hobo Day.
I already do lemon pudding shots, Rev.
He does.
I do lemon drop pudding shots. I could call them that. It's a good call. I call them lemon drop pudding shots. They're pretty fantastic because I make them with a lemon liqueur instead of rum chata.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing that with the pudding shots all year, and they are still fantastic. They're still phenomenal. I know you put a ton of work into that, so shout out to you for putting the work in. That is not a easy thing.
You haven't seen me in 10 months. And yes, I started doing lemon at the end of last year, probably after you were here, probably precisely the game after, so that it would coincide with the Alex's Lemonade stand. So you and I this week, huh?
Yeah.
Before we get to you and I, we should probably at least recap what's going on in the Valley, where we're at with Valley standings. Since we had some Valley games, we technically have Valley leaders. I don't know if Chad has.
I am working on it.
He's working on it. So
while he's working on it, Ron, I am exhausted by that topic, so I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, it's exhausting for sure, the FBS talk, but we have UND sitting at the top. They won against Murray State, and they scored a ton of points. They scored 72 points
72
against Murray State.
They also allowed 35 points.
Yeah, they also allowed 35.
Which makes one scratch his head.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were all in garage time either. I mean, it was, which people that don't know what garage means are probably like, did he mean garbage time? But anyway.
Yes, that is what we meant. Yes.
It definitely is what I meant. But we're saying garage on purpose. But no, Murray, it wasn't all in the late game. They had 14 in the first quarter. And so UND's offense is humming, but their defense is a little suspect, I think. Murray State's defense is very suspect. And then you've got NDSU, who took care of Illinois State pretty handily, 42-10. You've got USD, also took care of Southern Illinois very handily, 42-13. That one was surprising. I mean, obviously SIU doesn't have their quarterback, but I did not see SIU surrendering that many points to USD. And it was early too. USD was up 35-7.5, and so that game was never even close. Then you've got Missouri State took care of Youngstown State. That was a good game. Missouri State won by 7.
Which is not a good sign for Missouri State when it's at home and it's a good game with Youngstown State. That's not a great sign.
Yeah, we've talked about Youngstown State struggles this year. And then you've got SDSU sitting there at 0 wins in the conference, not played yet. And then you've got Illinois State at 0-1. UNI also with no conference games yet. SIU at 0-1. Indiana State. They lost this week to Houston Christian. Not great for them.
CVS.
The Houston Christian fighting CVS's. And then Murray State obviously lost to UND. They're 0-1, and Youngstown State's 0-1. So early in the conference season, but you can already start to see kind of the tiers shake out. For the most part, I think, I would say everybody that we thought would win their Valley game won their Valley game. NDSU, Missouri State, USD and UND both at home. So no real surprises in the Valley so far yet.
Well, I got to agree with Seth Meyer saying the Valley appears to be the 4 Dakota schools and then everybody else. It really does. USD offensively has been better than I expected. I'll give them their props there, at least so far. I don't think there's anybody who's going to cause them a real problem until they come to Brookings, honestly. We talk about the rest of the games, of course, during the Scared Money Don't Make Money show, but I don't think UND is going to have a good time in Fargo. UND always ends up way up in the rankings if they have a bunch of home games to start the season, and then they end up way in the middle, mediocre rankings once they start going on the road. So I'm not a believer in them. So honestly, I'd probably argue it's the 2 South Dakota schools and SDSU, and then UND still probably top 4 in the conference, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up like 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a huge matchup this week with UND going to NDSU. UND won that game last year for the first time in a long time. And it's put up or shut up week for UND. Show us whether you're a real contender this year or if you've just been a pretender and played pretty much all your games at home so far. So, yeah, that'll be a real test for them in the Fargo Dome. They're going to be up and rocking for it. They did finally sell out the Fargo Dome for this one. Congrats.
Hooray.
Took you until the week of the game to do it, but congrats.
We have to be a little soft on how we play that, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's deserved to them, but let's not forget where we came from either. But it is definitely deserved because they've chirped the most out of anybody.
They have chirped the most.
Oh, yes. We heard that all the time from them. So just giving it right back to them. That's a massive matchup this week. Outside of that, I guess we've got Illinois State going to SIU. Also a big matchup for SIU. They need to get back on track. And Illinois State, obviously, as well, losing to NDSU. So we'll see which one of those teams keeps it going.
Not to spoil anything going into Scared Money Don't Make Money, but just a quick glance appears since the rivalry renewed up in North Dakota there, UND's closest loss was 21 points in Fargo. So
just have they won in Fargo since then at all?
No. Their last one was 2002, which is more recent than when USD's won in Brookings. So they got that going for them. But it's been a minute. And they've had some chances. There's been 4 games in Fargo since then. And their closest game was 42-21.
Well, if you feel good about that trend, NDSU is only an 8-point favorite at home.
Especially when they've got an axe to grind. That's a spicy meatball. Spoiler. Spicy meatball. That thing is ripping hot. If you can find that line,
hammer it.
Holy. I'm going to hunt that line down somewhere.
So I think the only hesitation that I would have is NDSU's defense.
They look just fine against Illinois State on the road.
Yeah. I think UND is going to pose a little more than Illinois State did, but I don't know. We'll break it down on Scare Money Don't Make Money on Thursday. So that's what we got for the Valley. We can check out the top 25, see where we're at there. Sorry, Chad.
It's okay. Yeah, I can't have it in waiting, unfortunately.
We're in that time of year now with the top 25 where you get some you're starting to get a clear picture of the top, probably 10 to 15 teams. And after that, it's super muddy because the teams that are in that, 15 to 25 rankings probably don't deserve a ranking just because they haven't won any games of note necessarily, but they either have good records or we think they're pretty good, but they lost a close one or whatever the case may be. So it's still going to be a couple weeks, but there's some weirdness in there that you scratch your head, but then it's like, well, how do you argue against it? Because there was some big results that caused big shakeups in the polls this week.
For sure, yeah. We'll touch on some of those as we get to them. You got SDSU sitting at 1 still, coming off the bye. NDSU, I think, rising up to 2. I don't know that they were. I can't remember if they were 2 or not.
Might have been 3.
They're at 2 right now, and Montana State right at 3, and then USD at 4. That's a pretty consensus top 4 there. And then even Central Arkansas at 5. That's pretty consensus right now. They're playing really good football. Villanova at 6. Don't know how much I believe in them. UND at 7. Montana at 8 after getting by barely against Eastern Washington, a team that lost to Drake. And so you got to question. I mean, I understand it's somewhat of a rivalry.
For me.
It's a rivalry between Eastern Washington and Montana, but man, yeah, that was an interesting outcome there. And then you've got UC Davis rising up to 9 and Idaho right below them because UC Davis beat Idaho, which was a very interesting result. But I think it was, Idaho just with their QB injuries. It was just kind of maybe a matter of time before they slip up. And I think UC Davis is a good team too. I think that they were maybe a little underrated, and they came out and showed that they deserve to be in the top 10.
Yeah, if I was, forced to pick against a healthy Idaho and a healthy UC Davis, I'd pick the healthy Idaho. But, they're on their third quarterback now, and they've played all 5 of their games have been against a ranked team or on the road at an FBS opponent. I mean, it's just brutal. I don't understand it. Or I don't, what do you mean? I don't know. I read a comment and then it was Tanner's comment here. Can anyone explain to me why Northern Iowa is ranked? I mean, there's a bunch like that. Everybody likes to pick on Northern Iowa and they're not wrong. But there's a bunch like that it's like, man, I don't know, but that's what I'm talking about, where you get into that mushy area. And let's be honest, there's a lot of these voters in the stats poll, not Jamie Williams, not Blue Bloods, not those guys, but there's a lot of these beat writers and whatnot that are.
I would have loved it if you would have basically named everybody but the person you were calling out. Not Sam Herder.
No, because there's a lot of people in that poll, so I don't know all of them, and they just don't. They don't have a good national understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
So, that's how that stuff happens. And they go off a name and then eventually it works itself out. The problem is now we're doing 16 seeds in the playoffs and there's going to be teams getting cheap ranked wins out of this. I mean, we're going to be one of them. Good for us. We'll get a cheap road ranked win if we were to win this week, where they aren't really. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I haven't seen this poll this week.
They're not
I
on
don't
this
know
one.
if Northern Iowa's ranked this week, but they were hanging in there. But there's plenty of teams like that. It happens all the time in the stats poll, and it kind of is what it is. Are we showing just the Hero Sports poll, or is this the stats poll?
I can pull up the stats poll if you'd like.
No, I was just asking which one we're looking at.
No, this is the Hero, doesn't it? Show
This
that
is
at
just
the top?
straight. Well, it does, but I didn't know
Hero
if Sam had posted the stats poll or not on the Hero site. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they might be ranked in the stats poll. I don't know. We go with Hero because that's Sam.
That is the stats. You're right.
It is the stats. So I was right.
It is the stats. You are right.
Now, the one that they might be ranked in is the coaches poll. Is it time for my yearly rant?
You want to see the AFCA poll? That's this one, right?
Northern Iowa is 18.
Yeah,
in the coaches poll.
Which maybe Tanner was talking about the AFCA
he
poll.
Must then.
And it is, if anybody ever tells you that the coaches poll is right because the coaches know ball, discard anything that person says to you about football forever. They don't get to, they like discount anything they tell you because that's dumb. Not dumb that coaches know ball. Every one of the coaches who do that poll know more ball than any of us. That's understood. What they don't know is the national landscape and how good teams are, because they don't have time to sit and watch and actually pay attention to the poll. Hell, Stig, when he was talking about how he was like, yeah, it was kind of fun to vote in that poll. I'd go and then I'd go and look at the scores. Like, you can't, if you're voting just off the scores, this is how you end up with a poll like this, and you just move teams up or down based off of what the preseason poll was and then what the scores are, and then this is what you end up with. There's no paying attention to what actually happened, because they don't have time. There's shit to do. They're trying to plan for the next game on their schedule. There has been so many times I've watched a coach's press conference and they don't even know the mascot of the team they're playing. Now, do you have to know the mascot to know how good a team is? No, you don't. But is it kind of an indicator of your general knowledge of the country when it comes to a national poll? Yeah, probably. So anyone who goes, the coach's poll knows the most is an idiot.
It's like not knowing a pickle was a cucumber yesterday.
Oh, God.
Who did that?
Who did that?
Oh, I heard a comedian say that.
Okay.
If you watch Kill Tony, you'd know about it.
Gotcha.
Cam Patterson. He says, I just learned today that a pickle was a cucumber yesterday.
I've seen a TikTok about that where a chick's like, we pickle everything. Why don't we pickle cucumbers? And it's like,
nice.
Well, come to the B team. You'll learn about, penguin feathers.
I don't know. I was going to say, some people think penguins have fur, so
that would be weird.
Wait till you find out about raisins and prunes.
Anyway, I think the only reasoning that you have UNI ranked right now is that they're 2-0 in the FCS.
Yeah.
Their two losses are FBS, and we always say that we don't punish a team for FBS losses. And so by that logic, if somebody had them ranked in the top 25 to start the season, they've gone 2-0 in the FCS, and then they lost their 2 FBS games, I guess, that
it's just not paying attention, voting off of, they won, they stay. They won, they stay.
Exactly. Yeah. Not looking at, well, and it goes back to the old power ranking versus current ranking, but whatever. That's enough about the coaches poll. Finishing out the stats poll, we stopped at Idaho at number 10. As far as Valley teams, we have Illinois State still at 18, SIU at 19. I think Alex was kind of questioning why SIU is still ranked, which is also a good question. They obviously didn't look good last week, and they've got two FCS losses on their resume now, probably ranked losses, but yeah. So again, and the part of the problem is, you get to a point in the bottom top of the top 25. It's like, well, who do you rank? You start to look through the field, and it's like, man, SIU does have 2 decent wins, and so I guess we put them at 19. So I mean, that I feel like that's where we're at with the FCS right now. Is once you get down to that 20 or even 18 through 25, it starts to get a little dicey. Like, man, who do I even rank anymore?
I mean, it's really dicey at the top too. We haven't just had enough playing back and forth to know.
Well,
that's gonna flesh itself out, like when UND loses to NDSU.
Yeah, you're gonna see some weird stuff coming out of conference. There's not enough comparables, a lot of weird schedules and matchups, and you'll really start to be able to tell where teams are at once you get a few games into conference play, which is where we're headed. So, yeah, we will see where all that goes. Outside of that, let's talk about UNI.
The Purple Panthers and the Prairie Raid.
The
officially got rid of the Prairie Raid, didn't
they? Yeah, I mean, so they've got a new offensive coordinator, and it's a team that they just feel like, and even if you listen to Farley's interviews, they're just trying to figure themselves out right now. They're trying to figure out who they are. They're trying to figure out, coaching. They're trying to gel with each other. They got a bunch of new pieces, a bunch of young guys trying to step up, and so they um, they had a real tough back-to-back FBS games there, especially with the trip to Hawaii, and they're coming off of a bye, just like we are, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they were able to kind of get everybody on the same page and come out and play good football, because they just haven't really played good football yet.
Yeah, and to your point, it sounds like they're going to maybe even have a different quarterback this week.
It's possible. I mean, they were playing around with the second string guy in the Hawaii game. So yep. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they tried out there.
Yep, and Farley was talking about, it's not necessarily the fault of our starter, even though their starter hasn't put up big numbers exactly. They're in a tough spot. I mean, if I can't think of a worse time to lose an OC than when you hire him and then you're going to go and switch offenses because of this OC and how, he's been around it and all this stuff. And you're going to completely redo everything you do offensively. You lose a bunch of transfers, so you bring in a bunch of transfers and all this stuff. And then he has a family emergency that he has to leave for a family situation. And now you're kind of stuck in this no man's land. And honestly, when schools make that big of a drastic change between offensive styles anyways, it's usually a rough transition for a year at least. I mean, look at what's happening to the Citadel and Wofford and how long that took for them. I mean, they were never great. Well, Wofford had years of success, but switching from the triple to other offenses and how rough that's been. But then you lose your coach in the middle of it. And let's be honest, Farley is a little bit Ferentz-like in you can't imagine him giving full control of the offense like that to do that sort of thing unless he has supreme trust in that coach. And what are the odds that the next OC he brought in has that same level of trust from him? So you end up in kind of a mess. And that's kind of what they've been offensively. I mean, they've been a mess, and they don't feel like they've got that normal UNI defense where they always had nasty D tackles and nasty linebackers. They're not terrible by any stretch. They're not bad, and they're fully capable of winning a game for sure, but they don't have that same panache that they used to have.
Definitely. And, you could even, they were interviewing one of their wide receivers, and he was talking about learning how to rerun routes, because this guy, the new offensive coordinator just does things differently, and it's different than what they're used to. And so it's going to take a while to get used to that. And I think, if they had a preference on when they played us, it would not be their first Valley game on the schedule. With them trying to put some pieces together. I'm sure they would have liked to play us a little later in the season when they got things a little more figured out. But they're going to be excited. I mean, they're back at home after a long road trip. They've had a week off to rest and get things together. And so I think they're going to come up firing. I mean, like we've talked about, with SDSU being where they are right now, we're every team's biggest game on their schedule, and they get up for it. And it doesn't matter how well they've been playing, they're going to get up for this game. And it's going to be different than how they've been playing previously. And so I have confidence going into this game, just because of how UNI has looked and how we looked against Southeast Louisiana. But at the same time, I think it's going to be real key to take care of business right out of the gate and not let them get any momentum and confidence. Because if you take the will away right away, it's going to be a very, very long game, and I think it'll be a blowout. If we allow them to get a little confidence and get going, it could be a dogfight. Could be a game into the late third, early fourth quarter, and we could be in for a fight. So I think the key will be those first two drives and having some success right away.
Yeah, I'd really love to see us take the wind out of the dome right away, but that place is always strange when we play there. It's always been tough, even when they haven't been great. I mean, even not at the dome, they give us fits, even on like our homecoming. You would think that we'd handle them. Nope. You and I always seems to find a way, specifically Farley has, to really battle against us. Now, I don't know if that's a function of him really understanding Stig or what, but I think this is going to be a dogfight for at least the first quarter. That's what I would say, and then hopefully after that we can pull the wind out of their sails. That's what I'd like to see.
Before I start agreeing with you, I'm going to jump in and get one of our segment sponsors in here. Cubby Sports Bar and Grills of Brookings, South Dakota, located in downtown Brookings, the best sports bar in South Dakota, in our opinion. They've got some specials going on. They're going to actually have this game for a block party out in front of the restaurant with a 20-foot viewing screen. So that's going to be awesome. Be a lot of fun. I'm bummed I'm going to miss it. I got a side hustle that I'm going to be doing some work for that this is the only weekend at work, so I'm gonna have to miss out on the game and listen on to Tyler Merriam. But get down to Cubby Sports Bar and Grill. They absolutely will be the place to be. And I know last year this was planned, and then weather made it not happen. And they've got some backup plans, as far as I understand, in the event that happens. So head to downtown Brookings out in front of Cubby Sports Bar and Grill, and they're going to have a viewing block party out there. Should be a lot of fun. Bunch of Jackrabbit fans. Go into Cubby's, get yourself some great burgers and Chislick and cheese curds and everything else. Get a beer, have a good time with a bunch of Jacks fans while you're there. I completely agree with you, Chad. I think we do need to reset our mentality a little bit offensively with this team. Just with how they run the ball. It's not last year where they just come out and everything looks easy and we roll. This is more like 2022 where this team leans on them, wears them out, and second half, all of a sudden, boom, start busting big runs, second quarter, third quarter, and then runs away with the game. And the defense just absolutely lays the hammer the whole time and allows the offense to stay on the field and wear out the other team. So I will not be surprised if this is close at halftime. I agree with everybody in the comments. John Collier, Deep Ball to Griffin, GFW would set the tone. Absolutely. I'd be curious to see if they give that a shot right off the bat. But I mean, who knows? You might want to just establish Amar and Kirby Voorhees, and if Angel's playing, get those guys rolling first. So I'm curious how we're going to attack it. I'm really excited to see how the offense looks after a bye. Now that, you had the bye, you had the first 3 games to kind of gel and get things going. And I'm curious to see how it looks after that.
When Jimmy was pinged about the passing game during his media availability, I think today, he pointed out that really what's been off is just little things, including timing and such. I think having those extra time to work on that some more in practice is going to be a real benefit to our air game. Like I think we finally see that air game come around a little bit. It helps to have, the ball that can really float in a dome a little better. I think we see a good week out of our passing attack.
Something I do want to point out, I was thinking about this the other day as I was driving down the road alone with my thoughts, which is a scary place to be. But I was thinking about this as a Packers fan. I've watched Aaron Rodgers for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying Mark Gronowski's Aaron Rodgers, but what I am saying is there were many times where Aaron Rodgers ended up with a new batch of receivers and the offense looked awful for Green Bay for the first 4 or 5 games of the season. And then everybody got these young receivers started getting the hang of things, and all of a sudden they took off. And if Aaron Rodgers, I don't care what you think about him personally, the dude's a freaky quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers takes some time to gel with his receivers, then we should probably have a little bit different set of expectations when we got a whole slew of new receivers in there and tight ends and everybody else. Because it's not like it's 2 new receivers. It's all new tight ends. It's all new wideouts except for one. I mean, it's the whole
Yeah,
kit
like that
and
year
caboodle.
where
And
Lazard was the only option that came back.
right.
But
Yeah,
even
Lazard came back, and then it was going to LaFleur's offense, and I mean, like, that's a lot of changes. You change your offensive passing scheme with a new quarterbacks coach, new OC, new wide receivers. It takes time to click.
yeah, and I mean, even the one coming back, he was the third option.
Right.
Like, it's not like we had a one of the top 2 receivers coming back. Now, Griffin Dooley's really good, but
Right.
it's just that familiarity, and just all the balls went to the Yankees, and so it's real tough to come back from that. Speaking of Packers, did you catch the Packers game over the weekend? How did that go?
I did.
Did
I
you?
did. Yeah. It took 2 missed field goals, a fumble, an interception with 4 minutes left, and you still won by 2 points.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. They say that
Whether it's an inch or
They
a mile
say,
away to
hang
win.
that banner, we beat the Packers finally.
But hey, this happened last year too.
just let
I'm
me
not
enjoy it.
freaked out about.
Okay?
I am letting you enjoy.
The
I hope
Vikings,
you.
they're sitting at
I enjoy nothing. I don't think you understand. This is the season coming full circle. Okay, so since we've started this down this road, so we're gonna ride this train, right? So the off season. What did we get to hear? We got to hear about the Bears were going to win the Super Bowl. They've got the greatest quarterback in the league. There was people out there legitimately calling Caleb Williams the third best quarterback in the NFL before he took a snap, like actual NFL people. And he's proving to be Justin Fields again. And so now
Yay.
that's what happens every
Sorry,
year
Ray.
is the Bears have Super Bowl hopes, and all you hear from them. The second part as the season starts, the Vikings start well. Their fans start talking a lot of shit. They
that
beat Green
doesn't
Bay in the
always
beginning of the
happen, by
year.
the way.
It's
This is
pretty regular.
no
It's
the Vikings.
not uncommon. So we have reached the appropriate beginning of the season. I genuinely thought the Vikings were going to win that game anyways. Ahead of time, I didn't think Love was going to be the quarter. I didn't think he was going to play. And after the first
Did
half, I
not
was like,
look
"Oh,
100%.
this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be a tough day with Ben." But then they brought it back, which surprised me. I do think the Vikings are a very good team.
Yeah,
I do think they're very good.
It's the first time since 1998 that they've been 4-0 to start the season, and that season was a lot of fun. So I'm just going to enjoy it.
wide left.
Yep. Thanks for that. Moving on.
Yep. We lost because
the
we missed
highlight.
field goals. We got to bring it up.
The highlight of the game, though, was Tucker Kraft. He
Dude.
was fun to watch, and he's
That
going to
touch
be
was sick.
he's
That
going to be
was
an
sick.
absolute beast for a while in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think he's really just coming out into his own. I truly, truly believe that between him and Dallas Goedert, they will both be considered top 10 tight ends in the NFL, if not top 5 between the two of them. And
I mean, Goddard's already top 5.
You're right. So, and I think Tucker will get there. He's beginning to get a lot of not Kelsey, Kittle. He's getting a lot of Kittle comps over in San Fran. And I mean, that would be unhinged for an FCS school to have produced 2 of the top 5 players at any position in the NFL is nutty. But then on top of that good news, Garrett Greenfield got worked out by the Pittsburgh Steelers, who you've got to imagine that Mason was in their ear. But that opens a whole, I mean, that's a really fun dream if that works out and they pick him up. I mean, have that combo back together in the NFL would be wild.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's been awesome seeing Mason take advantage of some injuries on that offensive line, and I think it's going to be hard to take him out the field. I think they really like him. They really like what he's doing, and yeah, he's playing really well. He's proven he belongs in the NFL. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but we already knew.
Back to the UNI game.
Surprise.
back to the UNI game. I'm interested to see. Jimmy mentioned in his coach's show that we may have some players coming back from injury. So I'm interested to see, is Angel Johnson back? Is Tucker Large back? Is Kale Reader back? So we've had some injuries, and it'd be nice to get some of these guys back. We know that Zach Wilson's still out for a bit, but yeah, it'd be good to get healthy. It was a good time for the bye week. I think we had a bunch of guys dinged up to get geared up and ready for Valley play. But yeah, like you guys said, I'd like to see the passing game really take off here, at least be efficient. I think what I want to see is some one of the hallmarks of the team last year was that it did not matter when we got to third down. It was like we knew they were gonna convert it, and it was a pass to the Yankees, one of the Yankees every time, and it was or Hines, and it was automatic. And um, I'd really like to see some third down conversions with throws and get back into that mode where we can really rely on that. And along with that, keep the run game going and come out of there with no injuries.
I don't disagree with Matt Krul here saying I think Northern Iowa was going to stop the run and make Mark beat him through the air. I mean, that is what I would do defensively against us right now.
Oh yeah, if you look at the film, yeah,
I do think that opens opportunities for a guy like Kirby Voorhees, who's proven he can break those first level tackles. That does open up the potential to gash them on some run plays. Honestly, in the end, it's just win, baby. We're in the conference play now. It's UNI. Weird stuff happens down there. We just, it's the grown up version of the Dakota Dump. So, it's what the Dakota Dump modeled itself after. So
just just win, but let's not have a repeat of 2 years ago where we had to make a field goal at the end.
Oh yeah, that's the kick that's in the background in case you couldn't.
Right. Yeah, I'd prefer not to, but a W is a W, and I just don't care, honestly,
sure.
if we win, as long as we win. But
I'm
ideally, we go off. But
for sure. Another thing I'd like to see, and I'm going to call in this game, is Amar Johnson breaking off a long touchdown run. He's been close on a bunch of them, and I'd like to see him break off a 70, 80 yarder or something like that. Seems like just a matter of time for him. So that's what I'll be looking for.
Oh, go ahead, Brennan.
Nope, you start.
I was going to say, it did sound like Coach was alluding to a bit that we're going to get Dallas Beanham probably back for punts again. And I know Tucker Large does an amazing job, but I did like the energy that Dallas brought in relief of him. And I'd like to see him. I think he's going to bust off some big runs again on that. And I think we're going to make him punt, right? I mean, our defense has been the star of the show, so to speak. I guess so as special teams, we can really talk about how great they've been, but we're going to get some punts, and I think he's going to get us some extra yardages and some great field position, put us right into scoring position out of a punt probably.
Yeah, and I think we'll see that, just especially if Tucker Large is back and he's still dealing with like a lingering injury. You don't want him to aggravate something on a special teams play, especially when you've got somebody dangerous like Dallas Beanham there that you can have him return punts instead. Because Beanham looked real dangerous. So, yeah, excited to see more of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not a step down.
No,
have Dallas in there, so why have the guy coming back from injury return punts at all? So yeah, I'm with you on that. Special teams has been phenomenal. They've been really good on coverage. They've been really good on all of it. They've been fantastic. So
yeah, and I think you really see our depth shine on special teams because that's you've got your second string linebackers and safeties and some other other position players that don't see the field all the time, but they get their chance to shine on special teams. And the coverage has been so fun to watch. Especially, I mean, you guys kind of sit straight across from me, and it's so much fun when we kick that way. And you see a team, like every time a team tries to return it, I'm like, that was a bad idea. And they've rarely got to the 25. I don't know why anybody returns it against us.
Because we tell them they're cowards if they don't.
We do.
Well, keep that up, because I mean, the amount of times I've seen, us get tackles between the 10 to the 15 yard line area and start a team, 10 to 15 yards behind where they would have been if they would have just let it go. It's just really fun to watch, and it's an energy play. You can tell the guys love getting those tackles, and they've just been really, really fun to watch. And I think an underrated part of this is that probably is underappreciated is Hunter Dustman and the way he kicks balls.
So good.
I think he gets more hang time than most kickers do on his kickoffs, and he's very good at placement. And so, you'll get guys thinking, oh man, this is kind of a short kick, but then it kind of hangs in there a little longer than they thought it was. And before you know it, our guys are already down there on him. And so Hunter Dustman gets a lot of credit there too, even though he's not the one making the tackle.
He is such a weapon with the different ways he can punt or kick a football. I think he goes so underrated. The ability to do all these different types and styles of kicks that a team has to try and prepare for and guess how he's going to attack him with it. I think that causes real problems for the return guys for opposing teams and severely limits their return game.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Matthew mentioned, don't want this to be a trap game. I don't see that happening. The trap game that I would be worried about would be Hobo Day against Youngstown, the game before NDSU. But seeing what Youngstown State has for a team this year, I'm not as worried about that. If this UNI game was on Hobo Day the week before NDSU, I think I'd be a little more worried. But outside of that, I'm not too worried about this being a trap game.
Yeah, I think at this point with the team, I think the Augie game helped point that out, that you can't take a week off because everybody is up for you. You've won this many games in a row. You've won back-to-back national titles. You are getting every team's best shot. They are getting up for you, so you cannot overlook any game because you make their season, especially a team like a UNI right now. That's extremely dangerous. If they beat SDSU this week, their whole season is different
trajectory
right now. All of a sudden, they go from what a disappointment UNI is this year. What happened to UNI to is UNI a seed? I mean, they're going to shoot up into the top 10 rankings. I mean, it turns everything. And Ben, you are muted as hell.
He's shaking his head. We can hear that.
There'll be
marbles rattle there.
Is what I said. Sorry about that.
What'd you say?
They'll be 3-0 in the FCS, or they would be 3-0 in the FCS if they win. So, yeah, definitely got to take them seriously. But yeah. Beyond that, do we have anything else on this game?
If you're going, get there and be loud. I mean,
yeah,
our fans can make noise in a stadium like this because that makes a difference, is what I mean by that, because it really echoes in there, much like the Dakota Dump, but it seems to be, I don't know, a little more so because it's larger and typically about similarly full, although percentage-wise it's, a smaller percent.
Yeah, I mean, I always encourage our fans to go to away games and, explore the rest of the conference. I think what is part of what makes FCS unique and the Valley unique is all the differences and how widely unique it is from stadium to stadium, environment, town to town. So I always encourage everybody to, experience that. If it wasn't worth seeing, college football campus tour wouldn't be trying to see every FCS stadium. And I can tell you from experience, I mean, a man who's going to 100 games this year has been to every FBS school. When he stayed at our house for a night, his favorite thing to talk about was FCS stadiums. There were some of his favorite stadiums around.
Yeah, one of his favorite is the Kibbe Dome. I don't know if you caught it, but that's what his family made him a cake for his birthday was the Kibbe Dome cake. So if you can love that wonderful Quonset, I think you're officially in the FCS fan of stadiums.
Yeah, I am curious to see how UNI fans show up for this game if they do, because it's because we're coming to town, if they show up a little bigger than
Family
normal,
day.
or if they kind of don't because they're discouraged. I'm very curious to see how they turn out for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they said that there are more tickets sold. More tickets sold than their home opener, but I don't know how full their home opener was. I don't know that means much.
To start,
yeah. Outside of this game, I would say I do want to give a shout out to the SDSU volleyball team. They have had an amazing start to the season, and their first home game is on Thursday.
Opening
clock, and it's the opening of the First Bank and Trust Arena. And I just looked, and you can get tickets for as low as $8, $7 actually. And so, if you're around Brookings, I would highly recommend going. I mean, it would just be so cool to see that place nearly full to, number one, open up the First Bank and Trust Arena the right way. And number two, kind of show support for the volleyball program for having such an awesome start to the year.
They're one of 4 programs that are still undefeated in the country. I don't care what your schedule is. There's a lot of teams out there with weak schedules too. That's impressive. And they're on a heater rolling through the conference now. I mean, they absolutely deserve the support. If you love volleyball or you want to check out the new stadium for cheap, new First Bank and Trust Arena for cheap, go up. That's on Thursday, 7:00. They're a great time. I've been to volleyball games up there. They're a lot of fun. Usually there's still a student section there, so it's fun. Get loud, cheer the girls on. Volleyball is a fun sport. Soccer's also having a great year. But I've been toying with having on, maybe the coaches for that or something, and interviewing them on the pod, because I think they deserve a little shine, and everybody should know what they're doing, because what a turnaround for that program.
Yeah.
I know that George Alice was saying that they're trying to set the single season attendance record this season in the new Frost Bank and Trust. So, I mean, the more people that come out, apparently numbers are already there if we continue. I don't know if you caught that in the media.
I didn't
at there today, Brendan, but that was one of the other things he talked about. And so he really encouraged people to get out and watch a game, and hell, they're doing so good. They deserve the support.
Well, and we know volleyball is popular around here, right? I mean, we've seen the attendance for Nebraska and everything else. So we know volleyball is popular, and I always like, bringing my oldest I like bringing her to the soccer games because she plays soccer. What better thing for them to watch as a young kid is some high level soccer or whatever sport they play. And I know there's a lot of girls around that play volleyball. So bring your kids and go watch.
Yeah, and I will say, if your kid is not a Junior Jack member and you're an SDSU fan, you're missing out.
Yep.
It's the best deal around. It costs $50 to be a Junior Jacks member, and number one, you get into volleyball games for free. Number two, you can get a basketball season ticket for $50 for a kid, which is for all the men's and women's games. And they used to get in for free, but that was, you had to sit up in the general admission area. You had to sit on the uncomfortable bleachers. We have a nice brand new stadium now, and every chair has a seat back, and you get your own seat for the whole year for $50. It's insane. And then on top of that, you as an adult, you can get a season ticket for $200 to sit next to them. And that many games for $200 is just a crazy value too. So couldn't recommend more to get the Junior Jacks membership and to get some season tickets and to attend as many games as you can. And even the wrestling, I think it's $30 for a Junior Jacks to get a wrestling season ticket, which again, how are you going to get a better value than that anywhere? You're simply not. I mean, I think it costs more for like a pass to go to high school games these days. And so it's the value is insane. And so just especially with the new arena there, if you look at the video from it, that's got a sweet new Daktronics board. All the seats look nice. All the views are going to be great. I really, really encourage people to go check it out because I think you're going to like what you see.
Speaking of the new layout of the arena, the one thing that I saw that jumped off the page that I was really excited about is how they brought the end sections back down to almost court level like they used to be.
Yeah, I do love that.
Days.
100%.
I love that. That's amazing. I'm glad they did that. It's going to be able to make the kids feel more on top there, on top of the action. What a wonderful thing. They did that right for sure. And the trophy case, like historic thing, that was pretty cool. They did with the old court. There's a lot of things to check out. I can't wait to get in there myself.
For sure.
Yeah, it's going to be worth the price of admission to go in there. I do need to shout out our other sponsor, Northwestern Mutual. We talked about Alex's Lemonade Stand. That is through Northwestern Mutual and Chris Schenkel down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you haven't done or need any financial planning, strongly suggest you do so. Just to get your retirement order, get some weight off your shoulders, get some life insurance as well while you're at it to protect your family should anything happen. Go and talk to Chris Schenkel and the boys down at Northwestern Mutual in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Doesn't cost anything. Odds are you can talk to someone like Quentin Hicks. He used to play for the Jacks, and he'll get you all set up with what you need. So go ahead and talk to Northwestern Mutual. Proud to have them as our new segment sponsors here on the B team. And, they're the promoters of Alex's Lemonade Stand and everything else. So thank you so much to Northwestern Mutual being a segment sponsor for us as well. But I do also want to shout out my wife. She surprised me this last weekend. Got me good. First time she's ever been able to surprise me. Very early birthday present. Took me up to the Jets Wild game, so I didn't get to. I didn't watch a lot of FCS football because I was getting to sit right behind the Jets bench for a preseason game, which was really cool. See a bunch of the prospects play and everything. Suckered me good. My buddy showed up with his wife in their Avalanche jerseys when I thought we were going to the lake, which was a very confusing 10 minutes for me. So I was walking downtown Minneapolis in a Hawaiian shirt to these nice restaurants and stuff we were going to because I dressed for the lake and I didn't dress for going downtown. But that was awesome. Thank you so much to her for that. That was awesome. And my buddy Troy and Erica for letting us join in since it was his wife's birthday as well. So then we spent the next day celebrating her birthday. So
nice. Good job, Ariel.
Yeah. And like you said, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our listeners. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. And we are going to end this show before the hour mark. As Jim Poppin says, as we always say.
I mean, we only got like a minute and a half.
Whoa, Ben! Why are you so excited to go?
This is not
so excited to go.
This is not a dictatorship.
Give the people their money's worth here. God,
we did.
They pay for an hour.
I do want to say thank you to everybody who listens. I mean, our numbers have grown hugely again this year. So you're gonna cut me off on thanking the viewers. Yeah, I bet you won't.
I already thanked them.
No, I'm thanking them better. So, but our numbers have exploded just with the with as well as the attendance. So thanks a lot to every one of you who does like, share, and subscribe. And if you leave a
scared
review on
money
Apple
don't
Podcasts,
make
even
money.
better.
That scared money 20-minute show.
Make money.
We're an hour into the show and it's 9:30. What does that tell you? What time do we start?
At 9:31.
Yeah, it was 9:31.
Hey, look how much time's left on there, Ben. Oh, there's still time.
There's still time.
That shows you how late you were.
15 seconds.
Look, it's the how late was Ben timer. It's in the top left
it's
corner.
9:31 as of right now. So.
Oh, but we're not an hour. That means Ben was late.
We started at 12
X don't care about your
after.
feelings, Ben.
No.
Go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.